Hello. Welcome back to MDS. We are so excited to have you here today. If you're joining us for the first time, you are so welcome. If you have been here before and you've been kicking and riding with us, you are welcome. Please do us well to comment, share, and like. Well, you're welcome to today's episode. Today's episode is a continuation of what we have done before, and it's on breaking gender breaking barriers. We have been talking about this topic, about our children, both the female and the male. We're trying to stop the gender issues that surrounds the male and the female children, and because it's eating up the society. So, gender stereotype is something that has come a long way from then till now, and what we are facing recently and currently in the society. So it is a trending topic, and why we are having issues with raising our boy children, our girl children, and telling them what is and what is not. But here today is in fact, I am so happy to be able to get her on the seat today. We are so happy to have an MDS today, and no other person than Dr. Mrs. Gift Walco. And I'm happy to have her here because she is going to be shedding light on the issues of, breaking down, gender barriers, because this is a mother and with a whole lot of expertise, an entrepreneur, and a woman who has come to her place of flourish. I'm going to leave the microphone for her, and she's going to shed a little light, because talking with her behind the scene, I was fired up. I said, can we just go and get this going? So here she is. We are so happy to have you on MDS.
Thank you. I'm excited and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. So this issue of gender stereotype, it's been there back in the days. Like the first episode we had, we're talking about, the matter on the male child. And I was giving an example where I said, growing up, I heard my dad say things like boys don't wash, boys don't cook, boys don't sweep. And somehow, we have been programmed in our minds, because as growing up, you saw that happening. So it feels like you've been programmed. So even raising my boy child, I'm seeing and telling myself, but the times are different. I can't raise a boy to say, oh, you can't sweep, you can't wash plates, you can't do that, because this child might find himself somewhere. I mean, I have a daughter that stays far away, so I'm not there to do her cleaning and her washing and her this and that. If I raise a boy child telling him that, oh, you can't sweep, you can't do this, you can't do that, what then happens? What will happen when he's not home? So, we've talked about that, and now we're bringing it back to the female to say, these children have been stereotyped. And, what is your take about it? What is so much? It feels like a lot is heaped on the female child. She's expected to be everything and more.
That's correct, and that's how our parents were taught. And for me, that's how they know how to do what they did. Being a mother for over 33 years now, I decided to I'm one of those people that are fighting stereotype.
That's why
I fight culture, I fight tradition, and I've always said, who made these rules? Man made the rules, isn't it? So man can also break the rule. I don't really believe that only a girl child to cook.
I know.
I don't also believe that the boy child cannot cook. So, but I also will bring it back to, I heap it on our mothers. Our modern mothers today. I also say we have failed this generation, because we call it ignorance, or we call it lack of knowledge. Because I also believe that some of us were in a position where our parents taught us the other way, that it can be both male and female to do certain. I have friends who have just boys. These mothers have taken it upon themselves to teach these boys how to be let me not use the word domesticated. They have taught their boys how to do house chores because the woman can't do it alone. There are also some women who believe that I don't need a help. My children are good enough to do this thing, and it passes on from generation to generation.
Exactly.
Now, talking about today and stereotype, it also depends on how, like I say, every home has a culture, every home has a tradition.
Exactly.
Is how you have decided to bring up your children.
Exactly.
Now, as I have 2 girls, like I said earlier on, and I didn't do anything different. Then I used to say, oh, I have 4 children in a home. You see all of them exhibiting their own characteristics without you even saying, like my first son, my first daughter, both of them are close, 1 year difference. The other 2, there's a 3-year gap between the last girl and the boy, and there's also a 3 years gap between the boy and the girl. Now, those 2, my son loved cooking. My daughter was not, she was indifferent. Why did he like cooking? He loved food. So he was always in the kitchen asking, why are you putting Maggi at this time? Why are you putting salt at this time? And I never stopped him from going to the kitchen. I never also encouraged my daughter from going to the kitchen. So each one was bringing out what they were good at.
Exactly.
My daughter was shining star in school. She was doing very well academically. He was struggling at the time when they were kids. And he wanted to take, because he liked food so much, he wanted to do, catering craft. I think that's how they called it. Catering craft. I remember his finals. He was excited. He bought chicken. He said, Mommy, I want to make jollof rice. What's the recipe? He was, and he was going to school. The father called him back. Come here. What are you doing? Daddy, I'm doing a catering craft. You will not do catering craft in my house. And I'm like, what the hell? He was so sad. He didn't take that exam.
Wow.
But because he liked it, he didn't stop. In his own, when he was in the university, he was cooking from England. He would call me, Mommy, I want to make egusi soup. How do I perform? We'll be talking before the YouTubes and all that.
Yes.
And I would take him over the phone and all that. And today, he's a fantastic cook. But does he do it all the time? No. He will tell me, Mommy, I have the money. I'll pay for a cook. But when I want to cook for my wife, I will do that on Saturday mornings.
Awesome.
So I didn't tell him, no, it's not for boys. Even when my husband tried to do that, I didn't encourage that.
Yes.
And he didn't stop. Then talking about my daughter, even though I was a typical tomboy, I didn't know how to cook. I never knew that. This is me that didn't know how to cook. Today, I'm a chef.
Of course.
Do you understand?
Yes.
I didn't know how to cook. My mom tried, and even though she tried, she was like, I'm teaching you. Not when you get married, there's always that stupid mother that did not teach her daughter. But you see, when I needed to know it, when I needed to understand that this is something that I need to do, I had to learn it.
Exactly.
And I had to do it. So like when we talk about gender stereotypes, society has made it so.
Exactly.
But every home is different.
Exactly.
Every mother sees it differently. Every father sees it differently. So it's for you to tell yourself, what do I want
for my children?
Honestly. What do I... Like my last daughter, she could not... In fact, she said, Mommy, because you suffer so much, I will not learn how to cook. I will not be a caterer. You're always cleaning. You're always cooking. And she tell me, in fact, you know what? I will learn how to cook Oyibo food. And I will not do cake because it's very messy. But now she's on her own, living in America. Who is helping her to do it? She's cooking. So those things that they say, oh, I don't, but I never force them. What I'm saying, I don't make it look as if you're a girl, so you must learn how to do it.
Exactly, stereotyping.
Yes,
these examples that you just gave, just brought a flashback. How back in the day, your mother will make you wash beans. They'll make you pound yam. They'll teach you how to boil it, pound it. One time as a growing girl, my mom, had a particular way she taught me how to wash beans. Then one day, she just said, okay, today soak the beans. And I soaked it. After a few minutes, she said, put it in the mortar. Just rub the mortar pistol around it. And I found out that in less than 7 minutes,
I had done
it.
Yeah.
That day I felt like this woman, is she not a witch?
Because she didn't know any better.
I'm telling you, I'm like, so this method is here used. You
She just learnt it. She just learnt it. So that, so that's the thing with innovation and changes.
Honestly, so you find out that these things will, in time, it will evolve.
Yeah.
The children will evolve.
Yeah.
They don't need this so-called stereotyping. When they need it, they'll go about their business. You just talked about your daughter abroad and all of that, and it just reminds me that we haven't really done badly because we think we have, or we've not done enough, and the society is insisting. But when the time comes for the need of the knowledge, the child goes about, nurtures themselves and gets it done.
So the bottom line is that I always tell mothers, believe in what you have instilled in your child. Because if you believe you have, when I say women fret, I always ask them, do you think that you have done enough? If you have trained your child, I'm telling you, let that child be. The child will discover themselves, and the child will do that which he or she is expected to do. We don't need to say, you're a girl, so you must learn how to cook. You're a boy, you don't have to enter the kitchen. For me, I don't think all that is necessary.
Today is actually bringing us to a point where it's coming to the knowledge of the society that this stereotyping is not really necessary, because at the end of the day, the child will find his path. Even when the Bible says, raise a child the way the child should go.
Let me also bust your brain. I take marriage class in my church in what we call home management and economics. So one of the things I always ask them, who is supposed to cook in the house? I throw the question open. Who is supposed to cook in the house? You even see some women. Is the woman? I said, give me your reason. And that is how we were taught. I said, okay, so somebody taught you. Can you show me where is an established code where either in the Bible or in a place where they say only women should cook? Nobody is able to answer the question. How about if you say a woman is supposed to cook and she has no clue on how to cook, and the man is a better cook? What happens?
Will he eat rubbish? because he has to be the woman. Will he eat rubbish?
So like I always tell them,
we're all meant to complement one another.
Yeah, so I always tell them, in the place of courtship, when you're about entering this relationship, let's have a discussion. Let's look at who will do this and who. And it's not a biggie for a man to say, you know what, I want to be the one going to the market. I want to be the one coming to cook. If he can do it, why will you say, I'm the woman, I'm supposed to be the one to do it? If the man can do it better than you. Or even in interiors. There are some women that don't have tastes.
Yes.
While some men have fantastic taste.
True.
So why won't that man be the one to be in charge of fixing the curtain or putting his settee and all that? Because they say you're a woman. Who told you have that ability or the skill?
I wonder. You see, that's why we're on this topic. Because we just need to spread knowledge. Because what we're saying is breaking it down and normalizing it. This podcast is just geared towards bringing the norms that are in the society that needs mind and reflection. And, because everything boils down in the mind. We need to constantly go to the mind. We need to constantly renew. We can't stay stagnant. We can't stay on one thing
and say this is the way
it should be. No, it shouldn't. And when there's time for need to start to let it out in the society, for people to begin to accept this thing, there's no need. Why will this? How will a man go to the market?
No, that's what I'm excited with. I think Pastor is it Wisdom? Osiri Wisdom, with what they do, the Odogu, they call Odogu men and Odogu. I like that because for a long time I always said that the girl child has been so trained to do A, B, C, D. Exactly. Who is talking to the boy child?
Exactly.
So you see a badly behaved boy goes to get married to a girl who has been trained, nurtured.
I know.
And that's why the house will not be stable. And that's why even when they reproduce, they don't have anything to instill in that child. So I'm happy now that men have taken it upon themselves to train the boy child, to train men, while the women, we've already done it. We've taught most homes, most family. You see that the girl child has been trained. So now times are changing, and we are seeing that the men are coming in. So this jigsaw puzzle is being fixed, and we are fixing it.
Yes.
And we believe that today's generation are not we are not gender biased at all.
No, we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be, because at this point, when we look at how the society is going and trending, there's really a need for a focus on really capitalizing on raising the male child, because he's the generation, he's the production of the generation to come. So if you ask me, he's in a better place
to change
and make things work better.
Because I always say that the man is the wheel, directs how his home will be.
Exactly.
I'm of that opinion.
Exactly.
Because if the man is biased, or if the man, the woman follows how the man, if the man is happy, the house is happy. If the man is not happy, the house is not happy. So that's the way I look at it.
And if you put it in another way, they'll tell you too, if the woman is happy, the house is happy. If the woman is not happy, the house is not happy.
No, it's the man. No, I put it on the men, because this men.
No, because we know that they are the priest of the home.
Yeah.
They carry that grace.
Yeah.
They are like an emblem of authority. So a boy child, if you ask me, is key to generational change.
Yeah.
How they see things, how they handle things, how they put things in perspective. Yeah. Because a lot is happening in the society now that is kind of based. We're not all being accusing the male gender or anything, but when you look at all the issues that we're having of depression among teenagers, suicide, you'll be amazed the kind of contribution the male gender, how involved they are in.
And if you look at those boys who have committed suicide, you just check, fathers are not present there.
These are the issues.
Fathers are not present there, because the men, I believe strongly that they play a big role, but the society has so burdened women with, you have to make your home, you have to do this one. Okay, we'll do our part. What happens to this man that you are not telling what to do, that has no clue?
Exactly.
So how do you think that there will not be a balance?
Exactly.
So right now, that's why I always say, let's, in the place of courtship, let's begin to talk, so that when we bring our children, we will now know how. We will not say, you, this girl, your work, sweep this place. This boy, don't come and sweep. So we should train them, will I say, equitably or rightly.
Yes, that's the whole thing.
And bring up your kids. And what about in society? Here in Nigeria, I always say we are fortunate that we can afford house helps and all that. Because we can afford house helps, we tend to burden this house help with duties, and we ignore the children. So even the ones who want to talk, we talk to the girls and ignore the boys.
Exactly.
So at the end, the boys are just left without direction. I mean, if you've not taught me how to be a boy and how to be to transition and become a man, how do I handle my home? How can I be in charge when I start bringing up these children? And when you now have homes where you have absentee fathers, or fathers that have left the responsibility on the woman alone to train the children.
That looks like the men are just there to bring money.
So
that's not enough.
Yeah, so you need
the place of father. The place of
it's
father,
very important.
It cannot be
overemphasized.
Honestly, it's so important, because before you know it, these children have soul wounds, and before you know it's translated into something else. You begin to wonder, why is it a child grown up to be a wife beater or a female beater? Because probably he saw it from somewhere. And
nobody told him anything differently. I remember when bringing up my kids, and I remember when I went to have my last daughter, and my husband was left with the 3 kids at home. And a lot of people were like, hey, I said, I have a fantastic husband. He's going to do a better job than me. He took these kids everywhere, went on to make my daughter's hair, and he was even, you see him, some of the pictures, I was looking at pictures recently, I saw him even trying to make my daughter's hair, and I had a good laugh. I said, this man is crazy. So he was involved.
Yes, that's how it ought to be.
He was involved, and that is what we should teach our boy children today, and our girl child, that is not only you, the woman, that is supposed to do it. Your husband must be involved to bring up those children. So that's the only way we can say, society, you know what? Hold it there.
Hold it right there.
Hold it there. And of course, it's we that have put these norms or rules and regulations. So it's also us that can also turn it.
And I think there's somewhere you mentioned that just takes me back to, even in the present way of schooling now. You find out that in schools they are doing, strength. Some kids are in a particular class because they have a particular kind of strength. And if the educational system is beginning to acknowledge that fact.
Yeah.
It also means that in a couple or in a gender, female or male, your two children, let's not even take it up to marriage yet. Let's say while they're at home, your son's strength might just be different in some areas than your daughter. So, ignoring it and saying, oh, he's a boy child. Meanwhile, you know that the boy likes kitchen, or probably the boy likes to clean. And you're saying, no, that's not your job to do. Let your sister go and do it.
And the girl is not interested. That's not where her strength is.
Exactly.
So it's for us parents to identify and encourage them where they have that strength.
And create that balance.
Yeah.
And create that balance. It's so important. It's so important that we can't speak loud enough.
Yeah.
But these norms need to be addressed.
Yeah.
It's not working anymore.
Yeah.
And because now we've talked about it when they were kids. When they grow up, that's what's causing divorce, my people.
Yeah.
You see a grown man telling his wife to wash his boxers
and tell me, oh, I cannot make gari, I cannot make eba,
I cannot wash soup.
So now, because you're not there, I've not eaten. Really, you're not hungry. You're not hungry.
Wow. You find out that all of these things that have grown and has degenerated started from a foundation.
Yeah.
And that is where we are talking about stereotyping.
Yeah.
My people, my women, mothers, the society at large. This topic is not for just two women sitting in a podcast room. It's something we need to imbibe as a culture to learn how to raise our children equally and learn the strength of each child.
Yeah.
It's so important to learn the strength of each child and not burden one with what one can carry because of tomorrow, because we're having a whole lot of issues where we're seeing that the enemy is attacking the institution of family institution. You're seeing breakdown in marriages, arguments, somebody not understanding another person. Oh, you want your wife to go to work, come back. We hear these cases in America a lot, where the woman is a nurse or something. When you go online, you see a lot of cases. She goes, probably works round the clock, and you still want her to come home. And meanwhile, you are done with your own job. You are waiting for her to still come back and get it done. And before you know it, the marriage unit is breaking down. So this thing called stereotyping is affecting the family unit.
Yeah.
Because we are not looking at it from the root. So we're letting it degenerate.
Yeah.
And now it's causing a lot of havoc. So we're talking about this because back at home, I'm taking something from Dr. Gift. I'm so happy she's here because this is a woman with children that have grown, that are settled into life, and she's coming from a place of knowing. There's a knowledge place, but there's a place of knowing, the ownership of knowing that this is me. This is how I went about it. She's not saying she has a perfect result, but she's saying this and this has kept my home till this time because I raised my children in this and this way. So we bring women with honor to the podcast because we want people to talk from their own experience. While we encourage a lot of us to read books and get knowledge, and I'm looking forward to having you on a marriage class because we have a lot going on with young couples that are coming up. A lot of young couples having differences and impatience, lack of understanding. You begin to wonder, is it true that they say that the threshold of marriage is from 0 to 5 years? If you can make 0 to 5 years, then you're
sure. Some people say 0 to 7, but it's I always say it's an individual thing. You have to answer that question.
Wow.
Do I want to be married?
I know.
So, and do I want to raise good children? Fathers and mothers must answer that question. And we have to go back to the drawing board. We don't have... Olden days is gone. Times are changing. We're evolved. So we have to do right. We have to do right by our children. We have to show them. We have to talk with them. We don't have to say, no, you can imagine if I had told my son then, oh, as a boy, don't go into... That's his interest.
Yeah.
He loves food. And
so I can imagine him making such a fantastic... And guys, guess what? He just got married. Hearing this part of him, his wife is like, he just got married. We all went and celebrated. It was such an amazing time we had. So imagine that for a husband. He might not be available to do it all the time, but it becomes a love language. It becomes, something the wife can...
Yes. When he's done, he made me breakfast. Or he made me dinner. And all that.
My God. So... In fact, that we just need to have a balance about gender stereotyping. We just have to abolish it. Let's say the way it is. It needs to be abolished. We need to raise all our children's rights.
And I'm happy with the way we are dealing with the boy child now. A lot of homes, and I'm happy with where the church is coming from. Most pastors are started doing programs where they are talking to the boys, because really, why most of those boys were unable to do it? They were not taught. They were told not to. Society told them it is not their duty, it's not their function. So they carried it up to marriage.
Exactly.
And
like telling a boy child is not supposed to cry.
Express yourself.
Just imagine that kind of big thing. That is not, you can't let your emotions out. In one emotion.
Exactly.
Is that not breaking down the boy?
You are killing him now. You're just killing him.
My friend, be man enough.
Man it.
What is man it? What is he manning? That emotion that wants to drown him. He needs to talk. He needs to be expressive. He needs a hug.
Yeah.
He's going through something. He wants to be heard. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's where we're coming from on this podcast and on this topic. Bible says that it comes from the renewing of the mind. So we're hoping that this podcast meets you well, and there's something you're able to take away from it, whereby you know that a male child and a female child all come from God and all should be raised right.
Yes.
It's pointless having to have a gender stereotype where you think, oh, this is for a boy child, this is for a female child. There is absolutely no need for that. And we'll still, come again and, find a place to express more and teach. I'm looking forward to having you and talking to the younger married ones, because a lot is going on in the society. We're having a lot of marriage breakdown. There are issues. Being a marriage counselor, we can't wait to have you again on the podcast just to talk to the women within the marriage, because the times are so different from your time and now. With the internet presence, with a lot of pressure. We thought peer pressure was something. But now there's cyber in-laws, people who are there to say this is what they want in your own marriage. So we're looking forward to having you, where you can break them down, and we want to call them in, have enough time to put it out there. If you know your marriage is between 0 and 10 years, come into the podcast, come and listen, and so that you don't barricade yourself in a time and in an era and have a broken home, because a broken home will also lead to that boy child, that girl child having a soul wound and having to translate something that isn't. So on this episode, we thank you so much. We are so happy, we're so excited to have you. I'm looking forward to having you over and over again on the podcast. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. It's MDS once again, and please do us well to like, to comment, and to share. And we welcome your topics. What issues you feel you want this podcast to discuss? We are very available to do that. Thank you so much for joining, and God bless you.